Let's start by taking a look at custom layouts. Now in NetSuite, you have the ability to create custom report layouts for the balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement. For this course, we're going to focus on the customization of the balance sheet. However, the concepts that you'll learn today can be applied to all three reports. Let's jump into NetSuite and create a custom layout. Here we have our consolidated balance sheet, and we're going to click on the Customize button. Here we're taken to the Financial Report Builder, and we are on the Edit Layout tab. The first thing that you'll want to do to create a custom layout is navigate to the Layout field and scroll down to the bottom and select one of the standard layouts. For now, let's pick the standard balance sheet layout for the US. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and click on the Edit Layout button. Now what we can do is give our layout a name that makes sense to us. So let's go ahead with test balance sheet layout 1. Notice now that the layout value is set to test balance sheet layout 1, and we can go ahead and customize this report layout. I'm going to keep it simple for a second, and I'm going to add a text row to the top of my balance sheet report. Let's go ahead, test balance sheet layout 1. Now we can go ahead and click on Save. Now notice once the report refreshes, you can see here at the top the text that we added is test balance sheet layout 1. But now watch what happens when I change the subsidiary context. Right now it's at the consolidated level. Let's go ahead and run this for our Canadian entity. And what you're going to notice is the text that we added at the top is no longer there. And that's because the custom layout that we created has not yet been applied to the Canadian entity. Let's go ahead and jump back into the presentation for a moment. So one important point that I want to make relates to the NetSuite custom layouts and how they apply to the different NetSuite editions. By default, NetSuite will create custom layouts in the system for each of the editions that NetSuite offers, for the key countries and the general XX. The key countries being Australia, Canada, Japan, the UK, and the United States. As such, when you're creating custom layouts, you need to make sure you understand which entities they should be applied to. So if you have a US GAAP specific report, perhaps that applies to your US entities, but not your international entities. For consistency, you may want to apply your custom layouts to all subsidiaries. It really depends upon your reporting requirements. Let's jump back into NetSuite now and create a custom layout for an Australian entity. So the first thing we'll do is filter our custom balance sheet to our Australian entity and refresh. Notice that the layout is not applied here. So let's go ahead and click on Return to Customization. The reason the layout was not applied is because by default, NetSuite will apply the standard layout for Australia, with it being one of the key NetSuite editions. So let's go ahead and change that to our test balance sheet layout 1 that we created previously. I'm just going to scroll up for a second. Notice that we have received an error message. And the reason for that is we need to make some updates to this report. Let's do that by clicking on Edit Layout. And what we're going to do is duplicate the layout. So the point in time that you want to go through this process is when you have completed your financial report layout and you're ready to kind of divvy that up to other subsidiaries and apply it to those entities as well. So let's keep this with the same report name, report layout name, I should say, and we'll put AU for Australia there. Now we still have the same error message that we need to address, but now we can actually modify the report layout. This error is specific to the equity section of the balance sheet. Let's go to the net income section. And what we need to do is add the row reference. That gets wiped because we're taking a report layout for the United States and applying it to a different country, in this case, Australia. So go ahead and set that to net profit and loss. And come down to net income now and do the same thing. If we scroll up to the top, notice that the error message has now gone. You'll need to do this in some cases. It really depends upon the entity that you're working with. Nonetheless, if you see that big red ribbon at the top of the financial report, you need to typically modify the equity section of the report. Let's go ahead and save. So now we have run our report for the Australian subsidiary and notice that the custom text that we applied to the original report layout now appears here. Let's jump back into the presentation for a moment. So the final thing that I want to call out for custom layouts is that you can actually confirm which subsidiaries are using a specific custom layout. You can do that by navigating to Reports, Financial, Row Layout Assignment. Once you've been taken to that screen, you then have a number of filters available to you, one including the row layout. So we'll find the name of the row layout that we created, and it will show you the list of subsidiaries that are using that layout. Let's jump into NetSuite and confirm that. So from Reports, we're going to go to Financial, scroll all the way to the bottom to our Row Layout Assignment. Let's click on that. So from this screen, you're going to get the complete list of custom reports you have in your financial system with all of the various subsidiaries as well as the row layouts. So the quickest way to find the ones that we care about is going to the row layout dropdown. And if you recall, the name of our row layouts began with test. So let's start with test balance sheet layout 1. When we click on that, we can see here that we only applied this layout to our consolidated entity and no other entities. If we now go to our test balance sheet layout for Australia, hit refresh, we've confirmed that that layout has been applied to our Australian entity.